God, excuse me. Good morning, coffee moaners. Good morning, everyone. Just going to imbibe some of my enormous mug of coffee. Oh, look. It looks even personalized. Isn't that lovely? Oh, just for me. How are we all? How is everyone? It's all flat, says Edward Bevington. What is? I hope you're well. Hi, Jordan. Jordan. Hi, everyone. Everyone's saying hello in the room. Hi, everyone.
Morning.
Who thinks Dina needs a hug? Let's have Hug-a-Dina Day.
Whoever gives Dina a hug,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if it's a man, expect your testicles to be turned into earrings. Oh. Yes, we bring you a jingle, not entirely dissimilar to the legacy media jingles that tell you the news is coming, which means basically there's no news at all. We're just going to keep you distracted from the reality of life. Oh, yes. I went out on a date last night. It was fantastic. It was brilliant. I had the time of my life. I've had the time of my life. And I hold it off. But when he used to start that song in the film, something deeply comforting kicks in. I sort of felt held. I felt held and then held aloft. Reese, morning. Your shirt looks like one of those karate jiu-jitsu uniforms. Oh, this. Yes, it's my straitjacket. I've always wanted a straitjacket, but that's another day, another dollar, another playlist for sure. What have we got in the papers today, guys? Well, I love it when news editors don't know what the fuck to lead with. It makes me chuckle. Lots of papers leading with the fact or talking about the fact that Keir Starmer, change. We recommend change. My dad was a toolmaker and we recommend change. Is meeting Trump. He's a stupid man. He's a smelly man. He's a pathetic man. Starmer, he's done nothing at all to end a war in Ukraine. Zelensky, I'm just sick of him. President's damning verdict on the Prime Minister and allies as Keir Starmer looks to head to Washington this week. I tell you what, I bet you any money the team that's going with Starmer's going, what the fuck do we prepare for? I mean, I wouldn't bank on packing clothes nor items that last longer than 2 days. It could go one of two ways for dear Keir in Washington. He could be there. He could be thrown to the wolves. He could be hung out to dry. He could be on a flight back within 2 minutes. You just don't know what's going to happen, do you? You really don't. So Keir Starmer heads there. Much is being made of the fact that Macron has gone a little bit earlier. But by all accounts, Donald Trump said at some point yesterday that Keir Starmer over the war in Ukraine has done nothing to end the conflict. He's a pussy. He doesn't say that, but he may as well. It's emerged that Mr. Macron and Polish leader Duda have been invited for talks with Trump ahead of Sir Keir. Oh, God. I mean, I think we just might have to accept in Britain that we have zero influence on anything. We're a pathetic bunch of has-beens. And when we were something, we were marauding, psychopathic, genocidal imperialists. It's just a fact. We speak facts. Keep calm, carry on. Starmer prepares for tricky Trump meeting. No shit, Sherlock. I mean, we've got the possibility that Musk might crash into the Oval Office whilst they're all chatting with his fucking chainsaw going. I mean, keep calm to carry on. President is said to respect strength. Well, Keir Starmer's fucked. The PM has a diplomatic tightrope to walk. I worry that Starmer might just bore Donald Trump. You know, Donald Trump has a very low attention threshold. He's very sort of inattentive. And Starmer, you know, I mean, being most generous to Starmer, okay, he might have the right idea, but his delivery of the message is beyond. It's like watching Farrow and Ball dry, patchily. So, but then we move on, and the Mirror has a big piece called "The Madness of King Donald." President boasts of regal ambition. So he, I mean, I showed the clip yesterday of him sort of getting. I mean, I don't know if anyone saw it in Friday Coffee Moaning, almost coquettish. He was coquettish when people were saying 4 years, 4 years, 4 years. Anyway, this is a piece talking about the fact that he referred to himself as the king this week. And the Mirror gives us just a snapshot of the 3 remarkable things that he's stated in recent weeks. Ukraine started the war and Zelensky is a dictator. Whatever you think of Ukraine, it's a hard push to throw that narrative at the world. Washington plane crash was caused by DEI and midgets. I mean, you could not make the US will buy Gaza, and laughing because it's ridiculous, and turn it into a holiday resort. I mean, if these appeared on Have I Got News For You, you'd be like, who's having a fucking laugh? It's just crazy, isn't it? Metaphor for, yes, no, the chainsaw was a metaphor for slashing bureaucracy. I mean, I think people lost the meta competitor kind of quality to that, but it certainly looked silver plated. But when he held it aloft a la Leatherface and Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I think everyone began to get a little bit worried. Carlo Hatcham, I might make a professor, but I expletive. I'm too expletive. Here he is. Look, there he is. His increasingly, this is Elon Musk, if you're listening, his increasingly bizarre behavior is prompting rumors of chronic stress and even ketamine abuse. Now his ex, Grimes, claims their child is seriously unwell and that he won't even get in touch. Has Musk taken a chainsaw to his own sanity? To be fair to Musk, it was a gift. And when you're given something, you want to play with it. When a boy's got a new toy, you want to get it out. You want to wave it about. You want to throw it in the air like you just don't care. And that's precisely what he did. Just having a sip from my coffee moaning mug. It's not increasingly bizarre, says MeTube. This is all staged. It's to play the media. Do you think then, MeTube, the brain of the size of Mars, who I admire massively, do you think that Elon Musk had prior knowledge that a chainsaw was heading his way to cut through bureaucracy? I don't know how unhinged Musk is, and I don't know whether the more unhinged Musk becomes, whether Donald Trump cares or minds. Tina Davis, it'd be lovely to drink out of a coffee moaning mug. I know, but you can't, can you, at the minute? Sorry about that. Front of the Daily Mail, this is a curious one. The reason I pulled this, it's quite a dry story, though it's a very important story. The Daily Mail is fronting, spearheading, something for the arts. The Daily Mail, what? Good heavens, the arts that encourage critical thinking, occupied by lefties and socialists and lovies. The front of the Daily Mail says, Elton John and Simon Cowell back campaign to protect UK talent. This is the campaign to stop AI stealing the creative, wonder of humans. Two of the biggest names in music last night backed a campaign started by the Daily Mail. Kind of curious, isn't it? When you go online, most of the Daily Mail's articles are written, or it feels like they're written by AI. So Elton John and Simon Cowell called on ministers to rethink radical proposals to relax copyright laws. You might have seen this. Some people, as influencers, we've shared posts about this. This is the idea that AI makers, coders, tech firms want to be able to trawl a dredge all the creativity of musicians and artists and visual artists and written everything, pump it into a machine so that then AI has a broader palette of creativity to work from, which of course runs the risk of AI being able to completely do everything that humans do. So, it's kind of, you sort of, why? Just let humans be creative without having to trawl a dredge the entire lot. But I was just more surprised that the Daily Mail did it. BBC, big drama. BBC takes Gaza film off iPlayer over Hamas link. We're not getting that started. You get started, you can't stop it. This is, of course, the documentary this week, Gaza, How to Survive a War Zone. I think we talked at great length about this on Coffee Moaning in the week. It's sad. I think it's sad, and I do feel sorry, really, for those 45 or so signatories who can't bring it or find it in their heart to even consider the plight of children in Gaza. at the hands of the Israeli offensive, that isn't the first port of call before asking perhaps some serious questions about due diligence and the extent to which the BBC maybe should have notified or known the exact connection between one of the children and his grandfather. I'm trying to work out whether if a documentary was made about the trauma of living in Tel Aviv and they followed the child of a government minister, whether there would be an outcry. Just let that one hang for a little bit. So yeah, Gaza. So you know, you could say on the one hand, you could say disappointing that the BBC have pulled this off. They haven't pulled it off for good. They've pulled it off whilst they just examine everything. The other bigger pressing question, and we will hang on. The other bigger question I'd like to ask is: there would be zero confusion and zero controversy if Israel did one simple thing, and that would be let journalists in, so we're not having to rely on poor children already going through hell to be able to tell their story. Maybe that's something that the 45 signatories, including the likes of Danny Cohen, former head of the BBC, who I'd have thought of all the people on that list would be absolutely banging the drum for freedom of access to journalists to Gaza. That's before we get into how the camera was handed to a kid, you need to talk about that first before you talk about and ignore the plight of children. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Because otherwise, it's the thin end of the wedge. In a little way, those 45 signatories, that includes Danny Cohen, are kind of using a similar argument with this documentary to what Israel does when they hit an ambulance and say it was Hamas. Drug dealers branch out to sell Ozempic with cocaine. My God. Drug dealers are selling Ozempic on menus. I mean, you know, you can order drugs now, like you can order Just Eat. Is it Just Eat or Uber Eats and all that kind of stuff? But they've added Ozempic to the list, a positive menu. Weight loss injection pens, which contain 4 weekly doses of Ozempic, are being marketed as new in on many drug dealers' menus, costing £170. Now, I know I got shot down for suggesting that in some way people who use Ozempic as a lifestyle choice are somehow cheating. I think they're cheating people who genuinely need the meds out of meds. But I think it's interesting that Ozempic is being seized upon by drug dealers. That would suggest there's something to it that maybe needs a little bit more control than just trotting it out and throwing it out there and wrecking it high and sending it everywhere. You're right, Michu. We talked about that last week, actually. You were absent. And I don't know how to bring this to your attention. We don't like it when you're absent from class, Michu. It's a poorer discussion always for it. But we did talk about the president of Colombia wanting to legalize cocaine. And his point, interesting point that he made was, is it because it's a South American product that isn't privy to, you know, if America could produce cocaine en masse, would they have found a way to legalize it? Interesting thought. But anyway, Ozempic being sold on the black market, we knew that, but being sold by drug dealers on mopeds. The front of the Sun has Piers Morgan. Piers, I've got a baby reindeer stalker. And then in the next page, there's a photo of him looking very sort of, I always think with Piers Morgan, in every single photograph, I try and think to myself, what's he trying to radiate? Because he's always thinking about what he's saying with his face. Do you know what I mean? We'll talk about the story in a minute, but just you can see him there. I think what Piers tries to do is radiate meaning about every story he's talking about, which is quite a challenge, even for an actor.
I think he tries to look like a statesman.
Yes. Yes. So, yeah, but what he's radiating here, guys, for those of you listening on podcast, this is a deeply frustrating 2 minutes because I'm talking entirely about a picture. But his face there is radiating, I have a stalker. Can you believe this? But I'm putting up with it like it. You're right, Nat. It's like a statesman. Anyway, he says of his stalker, what she was accusing me of was absurd. She is a despicable piece of work. And we have an image of her just coming up. Piers Morgan, my baby reindeer stalker nightmare. There she is. Fantasist, allegedly. Felicity Jane Loud. A lot of stalking stories knocking about at the moment. A lot of them. They're coming up everywhere, aren't they? So, yeah, there's old Piers. He's on the front of the Sun. And, of course, you'll remember that he interviewed, didn't he, the fictional Martha. And we all thought then, didn't we? We thought it'd be weird if suddenly he got his stalker. He's good at provoking conversation, but not always in a productive way. I agree with that, Carla. I agree. Totally.
I don't think he's good at all.
No.
He doesn't let people speak.
No, he's good at, she said, prompting conversation. Not yet.
But then if you let people speak, he's been utterly brainless on his questioning around how it's gone.
Okay. Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. No, sorry, Carla. Sorry. It's
Sorry,
not,
Carla.
it's just one of those days. In other hot news, the suffragettes were bitches. Apparently, I'm not saying this. Suffragettes were classist and some backed eugenics. Now,
Oh my God, don't make me furious.
suffrage.
Don't make me furious.
Hang on a minute. So, feminist. You don't get this kind of analysis of the news on Sky News. The suffragettes are bitches. I'm not saying it's. I'm just not even in quotes, but I'm kind of.
Oh my God, I mean, I'm so.
Oh, can't, babe.
Why are you even talking about this?
Feminist academics have covered up the nastiest.
Oh God.
Not academic.
Well, hang on a minute.
Hang on,
a minute.
haven't even finished the
Hang on
sub.
a minute.
Oh my God, it's
What
kicking
difference
off.
does it make if every single one of them was a complete bitch? They were brave, they were smart, and they made change. Do you think a nice, sweet person sat knitting is going to do what they did?
Hang on, don't shoot the messenger. don't. It's kicking off, guys.
It's always got to be down to some academic, hasn't it?
No,
it's not the academic.
Oh, they're hiding.
Feminist, hang on, feminist academics
it's getting violent,
have
isn't it?
covered up the nastiest side of the movement, claims a modern history professor.
Ah.
You know why?
No.
Because everyone would talk about what bitches they were rather than what they achieved.
Yeah, absolutely. No, okay, but hang on. But the links that some of these women, what's the name of the Bloomsbury group, right? You know, the Vanessa Wolf, what's her name? What's her name? Vanessa Wolf? Was that her name?
Oh, no.
Virginia Woolf, Vanessa Bell, all of that lot. Who, when I was a student at college, I had romantic ideas of this bunch of creatives. I loved that. I was read the books. Oh, their art's a bit shit, but hey, it's brilliant colours, Farron Ball, and all that bollocks. And then you dig into a lot of what they were going on about, and it's hard. You're hard pushed to put a piece of paper between their sense of entitlement and many other people's sense of entitlement. And this story, the reason I pulled this story was it made me think entitlement swings both ways. You can get the entitlement of assholes like Trump and Johnson and Farage and all that lot. And then you can get the entitlement of, I have to say it, the ways in which I think some Just Stop Oilers talk about the issue. I heard a Just Stop Oiler on the radio the other day. Everything, it wasn't the message was on point. But the way in which she said it made me want to literally grapple her to the floor and tie her to a fence.
Oh, Martin.
No, because it was beyond offensive, restrictive, and it completely got in the way of the message. And so I do think how you get a message across is important. So on that point, yes, the suffragettes, of course, the suffragettes are important, but they had huge links, many of these very affluent women and their families, to other people who were part of something called the eugenics movement. And this was part of the whole Bloomsbury group, the idea of let's kill off the ones that we're not really interested in or aren't really kind of serving much of a purpose. So anyway, that doesn't detract from the fact that what the suffragettes did was bloody important. But isn't it interesting that they do have to home in on the nastiest side of the women's suffrage movement? It involved extreme classism and support for eugenics and population control. Predominantly upper class. Just discuss. It's just a topic for discussion. Not in this kitchen. Ketamine use rises by more than 100%, and that's all down to Elon Musk, allegedly. Allegedly. No, I'm joking. It's not got nothing to do with him. Recreational drug is now more popular than heroin amid a growing prevalence of narcotic cocktails. Yeah. Ketamine, K-holes, all that kind of stuff. You know, the thing about so many drugs that, I mean, more and more youngsters are moving away from alcohol, cost reasons, and they're moving towards narcotics. But of course, the long-term abuse of drugs like ketamine aren't fully known. What we do know is they destroy your bladders. So do be careful. If you know anyone who takes a lot of ketamine, you could end up.
Or any
any ketamine. I want to pull this up because I know it's going to get a strong reaction from Dina because we're both the drivers in the house. Residents don't want LTNs. And I have to say,
guess what?
low
They
traffic.
make the most money out of them.
Yeah, low traffic neighborhoods. These are like suburban streets in cities, certainly in London, Lambeth, Croydon, places like that, where they put up a little round circle where you're suddenly not allowed to drive and they camera you.
Yeah.
Tell us about that,
They camera
Tina.
you. And so all these people living in these lovely residential roads already now
Yes.
don't have any traffic.
Yes.
So people like us who live on the main road get all the traffic. So why should they not pay more council tax if they want no traffic in there?
Preach! And not only that, Dina, I've got something more to say about this.
Yeah.
These LTNs, which let me just pop up. I haven't got a photo of them. They pop up so quickly. So let me give you an example. So late one night, I'm trotting along to pick up one of my daughters from a party. I go down a circuitous route to find this street.
Yeah.
As I'm going up the route, there's no preordained notice. There's no saying, oh, up ahead, you can't go, or a T-junction. You get there, and I almost cause a crash having to reverse three-point turn and then go. And my daughter at that point was standing out. So it's not good for safety. It's not good for getting around. And then you suddenly find yourself, and like you say, these fucking assholes who live on fucking joyful streets get it even better.
Yeah.
Sorry, I feel
You
very
need to
strong.
navigate it in your car to read the signs that are coming up.
Yes, but they don't know about LTNs because as this poor woman here says, June Lord, who has a blue disabled badge for her car and finds it hard to walk far, found that a 3-minute journey to take her young twins to school could now become 30 minutes due to LTNs on Streatham Common.
Oh,
yeah.
On
The
the
thing
common.
The
Yes,
thing is, it creates more.
it creates more traffic.
And all that petrol just pumping out at like.
Guys, it's a very emotive coffee moaning this morning. There's a lot going on. If you've only just joined, you've missed the best of it. Oh, James Bond. James Bond has been sold to Amazon. And if Jeff Bezos does to Bond what he's done to Middle Earth, we're all doomed. We're all doomed. Lots of articles here. It was in the news for a couple of days. You know, the idea that they've sold it to, that Paramount have sold it to, I think MGM, which is owned by Amazon, now bought it. They've bought James Bond for $1 billion. To be honest with you, they were pussyfooting around, weren't they? They were taking ages deciding on a new James Bond. So the Mirror has quite an interesting piece, Missing in Action. Not getting a new Bond actor in time was seen as the final straw for British film franchise. Now, of course, the worry by Amazon picking up the rights to something like this is they may make lots of shitty little series that aren't very good. I mean, the weird thing about Bond is James Bond manifests that thing that I've talked a lot about recently, which is men of a certain age who try to hide the smell of alcohol on their breath by using fragrance. The name's Bezos, James Bezos. What can we expect from Amazon's 007? I think really soulless. I mean, a lot of people talk about the fact that he's an alcoholic misogynist, James Bond. But you know what? Alcoholic misogynists exist, and I think I think we're all big enough, long enough, and hairy enough to go into a cinema and watch a film knowing that he's a bit of an arse. It doesn't mean we can't watch it. You can watch stuff that isn't pleasant. We don't have to be mollycoddled anymore. Oh, and on that, I want to talk about rhubarb, and I think the girls need to listen to this because rhubarb, the humble plant is suddenly trendy.
I nearly bought some yesterday.
Ah, Dina, you'd have been right on point. Dina always has her finger, without realizing it, on the foodie pulse. Humble plant is suddenly trendy, not only to eat, but also in cocktails. Britain has gone rhubarb crazy with sales surging 200%, but only 6 people were buying them. That means only 18 people are buying them now. Is that right? Britain, the vegetable has been dubbed flavour of the moment, with the out-of-season forced variant driving sales.
It's called a vegetable then.
Is it? I thought it was a fruit. I mean, there's got to be something wrong with something that, in order to eat it, you have to pile shitloads of fucking sugar all over it. Islington wankers loving it, apparently, says Mayboo. Oh, it's a Tarquin dish, isn't it? Rhubarb. Because you know why? because the working class eat it. Yeah, you know, the ones that the suffragettes didn't kill with eugenics. Yeah, they eat it. Yeah, and so, you know, let's take it from them. Yeah, let's force it. Yeah, let's force rhubarb. Yeah, brilliant. Tasty. Sales of rhubarb going through the roof, with its distinctive taste popping up in everything from vodka and gin to hot cross buns. Don't fuck with a hot cross bun. Sorry. It's no wonder that demand for rhubarb has skyrocketed. A boom in products flavored by the vegetable has now led to a 200% growth in the... Is it a vegetable or is it a fruit? This is like a conversation about the tomato. Don't eat the leaves. Rhubarb is actually a vegetable, but is used more like a fruit. It's been grown for thousands of years in Siberia, Mongolia, and China. Yeah. There you go. It was introduced to Europe, Dina, in the 14th century and became a valuable trade commodity, at one point becoming more expensive than even the spice cinnamon. Legend has it that forced rhubarb originated in 1817 when workers at the Chelsea Physic Garden in London accidentally buried a bed of rhubarb while digging a trench. Only the stalk is edible. The leaves contain high levels of oxalic acid. Oh my God. Don't go just cooking rhubarb, all right? Bright Van Man. I think this is good. I think everyone deserves their moment in the sun. And I think stereotypes, archetypes, all of them need to be questioned, challenged, and pulled apart. Almost half of white van men have degrees, and a third of white van men went to grammar or private schools, which I have to say, when I saw this headline, made me think they should know better than abusing women from bus stops. At bus stops. Not all of them do, obviously. Often maligned as uncouth, uneducated, and bad at driving, white van men have never enjoyed a spotless reputation in society. But actually, you'd be surprised. Many of them are well educated, so they should have more manners. Not in my city, says Elaine Denning. Rise of the robo-mop. Humanoid robots that do our chores on sale within 10 years. Helping hand, how robotic cleaners could look. Look at that. Cleaning the bath, cleaning the sink. A pet robot. I might get one for you, Mum. You'd like that. At the moment, they may exist only in our wildest dreams or in Hollywood sci-fi, but humanoid robots that wash dishes, vacuum the carpets, and cook look like they could be a reality in 10 years' time. Fabulosity. I'm digging in pensioner. I don't know if anyone saw this. This is an enormous sinkhole that emerged in Surrey that just keeps getting wider and wider and bigger and bigger. Yeah, absolutely terrifying. And there's one pensioner on the street that said, I'm refusing to leave. I'm refusing to leave. And in his last interview with the BBC, he said, I'm refusing to leave until the... That was it. No, there's this one guy who's digging in. He's not going to move. Defiant Bren Davis, 87, insists he will stay at the house his grandfather built despite a 65-foot long hole. Would you?
Stubborn old people.
Stubborn old people. I mean, exactly. Just get out, mate. Get out. You know, otherwise you're going to fall down a hole. But would anyone else here, would you stay in your home, come what may, if it was hovering over a hole? Oh, it's been fun. Dead as a dodo. Dodos are set to return. Can you believe it? To be honest with you, I'm quite pleased about this. I think there's not enough meat on a chicken. Turkey's dry. So I think the reintroduction of the dodo, forget it being a scientific thing, I think bring back the dodo so we can cook them and eat them. Come on. The chickens won't know they are special. As they strut around, they will look like normal chickens and mate like normal chickens. But when they do mate, if Dr. Anna Berenson's plans come true, something very abnormal will happen. They're going to give birth to a wild chicken, a dodo. Scientists want to insert sections of DNA into chick embryos so that we can bring back the dodo. And I think that's good because I just genuinely think we don't have enough meat on our chickens. You know, you look at them in the store and you go, Jesus Christ, that's not going to feed anyone. Whereas you see a great big dodo carcass, you'd be like, yeah, that's good. But all the papers are running with this. Dodos return from the dead, may be cracked by genetically modified eggs. Don't tamper with nature, they say. Don't tamper with nature, but hey. Rigged system. How now? This is off the bat. This is an odd story. Brand new series. Is it called 1,000 Blows, starring the wondrous Stephen Graham as a bare-knuckled Victorian era boxer? Written by Stephen Knight, the creator of Peaky Blinders. It's on Disney Plus. I'm looking forward to bidding into that this weekend, and we can give you a review. It looks sinewy and brilliant, and just really atmospheric. But off the back of that, Stephen Knight, who is, as I say, the creator of it, has talked about how the arts, specifically the performing arts, actors and what have you, is totally geared against working class performers. And there's quite a good quote from Stephen Knight, who's increasingly looking like George Galloway in photos. He says, we have to get around the instinctive reaction to working class actors. He talks about how the onus sits with writers, not just to kind of use people with accents and from working class backgrounds as archetypes, like villains or, he said, a lot of writers use kind of accented characters as a shorthand to say something about people. But anyway, it was just an interesting article about how, and we've talked about it many times, it's a system, more and more actors come from extraordinarily affluent backgrounds. And it was sort of surprising that even actors like Tom Hardy and Cillian Murphy both come from fee-paying schools. And okay, it's not every, you can't say to everyone you can't become an actor that's gone to a fee-paying school, but it is an industry that doesn't pay them a lot, and you kind of need to come from relative wealth in order to kind of ride out the lows. I think that's the thing. And there needs to be a system. If you think of so many of our wondrous performers of the 70s and 80s who came from, unless you have that vibrancy and range of experience and background, it's why the films, although we didn't get on board with Mike Leigh's recent film, it's why filmmakers like Mike Leigh and Ken Loach are actually one of the most important things those directors did really for British film and performance, is introduce new actors, actors from backgrounds that you wouldn't traditionally have thought would go into acting. I think that's really important. This is funny, this story. What the fuck? Companies House, which is where you register companies. Entrepreneurs have been halted from launching rude named firms, such as, I just thought we'd run through some of the names here. What the fuck? PHUK. Bell End Motor Company, Fat Fuck Noodle Bar. Companies House has vetoed 560 risque company names. Other names include Crap I Made in My Shed Limited and Bums Employment Limited, another company called Get Your Shit Together Limited, Big Dick Properties, and Fart Limited. So if you want a witty name, they won't let you at Companies House. And finally, some photos to end with. I'm not going to do that story, it's stupid. I only speak to my equals. There's a cartoon here for those of you listening. We have a caricature of Donald Trump with a crown on, which says Burger King on it, though we know he eats at McDonald's. Keir Starmer sitting opposite him, looking petrified. And we've got Elon Musk whispering into the king's ear. It's quite funny. Where's my king? A lot of the papers are running with this image, which is Meghan Markle's memories. She's published a mood board snap to coincide with her new series. Duchess of Sussex gives fans a peek into her mindset. This is a mood board of Meghan's mindset. And some of the highlights on the mood board include a photo from 2016 of Meghan taking a picture of her meal. Number 2, a picture of Meghan in her favorite Panama sun hat. It's nice. 3, a collection of inspirational messages from the TIG blog, such as "I love you with all my butt." I would say heart, but my butt is bigger. Or "Stay close to people who feel like sunshine." That made me want to vomit, that one. I mean, stay close to people who feel like sunshine. Sorry. What else we got? You cannot make everyone happy. You are not a jar of Nutella. Number 4, let me bring the image back up. A gift certificate to Chez Panisse Restaurant and Cafe in trendy Berkeley, California. A series of jam jar labels from her As Ever brand. I quite like that. As Ever. As Ever. It's sort of ephemeral, isn't it? As Ever. It's not targeted. It's not hard. It's As Ever. A road sign for Californian State Route 33, which runs several miles from the Montecito mansion. So really a bit of Google map reading there. A green star believed to have been made by her son Archie. We all tell our kids what they make is good, even when it's shit, don't we? That's what we do. Harry, apart from Dina, who's a teacher, she tells her kids it's shit as soon as it's shit. She's great. She's a real character builder.
I say, how do you think you can improve that?
Yeah, how do you think you can improve that? She said it to our girls yesterday about colouring in. I wanted to punch her. Harry appears in a sketch at the bottom there, which is believed to have been based on an image from their 6-part Netflix series. It shows them kissing while their now deceased dog looks on. That's just a bit too much there for me. And this finally, as we sign off, for all of you listening, absolute nightmare, because there's no way in any way, shape on earth I'm going to be able to verbally describe this remarkable image, which won the prize for underwater photography of the year. Check this out. That for me is just fucking bonkers. So if you're wondering what I'm talking about over on podcast, you're now going to have to go over to YouTube, search the Sawalha-Adderleys and watch Coffee Moaning. Anyway, guys, there you go. That's your news. In 20 minutes, we have got some more bargain puddings. Is that right? Is that what we've got?
Budget puds.
Budget puds, guys. How can we not like that? I'm thinking of not doing a workout today and just eating them all. So there we go. Thank you for all of your comments. That's the news. You don't need to buy the papers today. That's why we do this. This is what this service is about. Don't go to the shop. Don't talk to your newsagent. Don't buy really outdated, out of date, and irrelevant newspapers that are really telling the news 2 days ago. Stay with us because we'll write you through them in a much more witty fashion. Anyway, guys, have a lovely day. Stay safe.